June 21st, 1942. Dawn breaks over the Libyan desert, a merciless orange glow slicing through the dust-choked air outside Tobruk. Panzer engines roar like awakened beasts, their treads chewing into the sun-baked sand as Field Marshal Erwin Rommel, the Desert Fox himself, leans from the open hatch of his command vehicle, binoculars pressed to his eyes. The heat already shimmers off the horizon, mirage waves dancing like ghosts, while the acrid stench of cordite and diesel fuel hangs heavy. You can almost taste the grit on your tongue, feel the sweat trickling down your back under that relentless North African sun. Explosions thunder in the distance, British artillery barking defiance, but Rommel's Afrika Korps surges forward, a steel tide crashing against the crumbling Allied lines. Section 1. The Relentless Advance. Rommel's gaze is unyielding, his mind a whirlwind of tactics honed from years of blitzkrieg triumphs. At 49, with his signature peaked cap tilted against the glare, he's the embodiment of German precision. Sharp features, piercing blue eyes that miss nothing. Vorwärts, he shouts to his driver, the word cutting through the chaos like a knife. The Panzers, Mark IIIs and IVs, their long-barreled guns swiveling, flank him. Infantry from the 90th Light Division scrambling alongside, their Mauser rifles at the ready. They've been pushing for weeks, ever since Gazala, where Rommel outflanked the British 8th Army and turned their minefields into graveyards. Now Tobruk looms, that fortified port town the Allies swore was impregnable, its harbors crammed with supplies meant to fuel Montgomery's counteroffensive. The air vibrates with the whine of Stuka dive bombers overhead, their sirens wailing like banshees as they plummet toward British positions. Bombs erupt in geysers of sand and flame, silencing anti-tank guns one by one. Rommel's radio crackles. Herr Feldmarschall, the 21st Panzer Division reports breakthrough at King's Cross perimeter. He nods, a ghost of a smile flickering. His men are exhausted, rations thin, water brackish from jerry cans, but victory scent drives them. Italian allies from the Ariete Division trail behind, their M13 tanks coughing dust, but it's the Germans leading the charge, as always. As the sun climbs, the assault intensifies. Machine gun nests chatter from concrete bunkers, tracers arcing like fireflies in the haze. A British Matilda tank bursts into flames nearby, its crew scrambling out, only to be cut down by MG-34 fire. Rommel ducks as shrapnel pings off his vehicle, his adjutant, Major Hans Joachim Schrapler, yelling updates over the din. The South Africans are folding, sir. Intelligence says their depots are just beyond the wire. Fuel dumps, ammo caches, everything. Rommel's pulse quickens. Supplies, that's the lifeblood of desert warfare, where logistics stretch like fragile threads across endless dunes. His own corps is running on fumes, Axis convoys from Tripoli torpedoed by RAF Beaufort's night after night. They breach the outer defenses by midday, engineers blasting paths through minefields with Bangalore torpedoes. The heat is oppressive now, men gulping from canteens that taste of metal and desperation. Rommel pushes on foot for a moment, pistol in hand, rallying a squad of grenadiers pinned by a Vickers gun. "Angriff!" he bellows, and they surge, grenades lobbed into the emplacement. Silence follows the blasts, broken only by the groans of the wounded. Tobruk's fall feels inevitable, but Rommel knows the cost. His divisions are bled white, replacements a distant dream from Berlin. Deeper into the perimeter, the first signs of bounty appear. Overturned lorries, scattered crates stamped with Union Jacks. A young lieutenant from the 15th Panzer reports in. "We've taken the harbor warehouses intact, Herr Feldmarschall. Thousands of gallons of petrol, tinned beef, even cigarettes." Rommel climbs a ridge, surveying the sprawl. Smoke billows from burning oil tanks, but much remains. Endless rows of jerry cans glinting in the sun, artillery shells stacked like cordwood. His men cheer, looting biscuits and chocolate from the piles, their faces smeared with dust and relief. But as Rommel inspects closer, something shifts. These aren't just British supplies. Labels catch his eye. Made in U.S.A. Ford trucks half buried in sand. Crates of .303 ammo from American factories. The scale hits him like a sirocco wind. Depots stretching for acres, far beyond what the 8th Army could consume in a month. How? His intelligence had whispered of Lend-Lease, but this is an ocean of material poured from across the Atlantic. Schrapler joins him, notebook in hand. Estimates say 30,000 tons, sir, enough to refit an entire Army Corps. Rommel's jaw tightens. His own supply lines snake 1,400 miles from Tripoli, vulnerable to every Allied sub and bomber. Yet here, the enemy drowns in abundance. The afternoon wears on, sappers clearing booby traps as trucks haul away the spoils. Rommel retires to his command tent, a makeshift affair of canvas and camouflage netting, sipping captured tea that's surprisingly fresh. His staff gathers: General Walter Nering of the 15th Panzer, Colonel Siegfried Westphal, his chief of operations. Maps unfurl, pins marking the advance. "This capture buys us time," Nering says, eyes alight. "We can push to the Nile now." But Rommel stares at a manifest torn from a crate. Jeeps from Detroit, radios from General Electric. The numbers blur, millions of rounds, hundreds of vehicles. Germany's factories churn day and night under RAF bombs and resource shortages. America? Untouched, vast, its assembly lines a juggernaut. A quiet falls over the tent. Rommel lights a cigarette, the smoke curling like doubt. "Gentlemen," he begins, voice low, "we've won a battle today, but look deeper." He gestures to the lists. "This is not victory. This is a warning." The men lean in, the desert wind flapping the tent flaps like an omen. What does the fox see that they don't? A shadow of empires clashing, where steel and oil decide fates, not just men and machines.
The captured warehouses stretch like a mirage made real, row upon row of corrugated iron sheds, their doors blown open by artillery, spilling their secrets into the afternoon glare. Rommel walks slowly between the stacks, boots crunching on shattered glass and spent shell casings. The air inside is cooler, almost merciful, thick with the smell of motor oil, canvas tarps, and the faint sweetness of tinned Spam. His staff trails behind, silent for once, as if the sheer volume has stolen their breath. Crates are pried open with bayonets. A sergeant lifts a 5-gallon jerry can, stenciled U.S. Army Quartermaster Corps 1942, and whistles low. Enough petrol here to keep the entire Afrika Korps mobile for weeks, Herr Feldmarschall. Rommel nods, but his expression is unreadable. Nearby, mechanics from the 5th Panzer Regiment are already siphoning fuel into their own thirsty Mark IIIs, the pumps clanking rhythmically like heartbeats. Men tear into ration boxes, corned beef, powdered milk, even bars of Hershey's chocolate stamped with little American flags. Laughter ripples through the ranks, genuine, boyish delight after months of stale bread and ersatz coffee. Yet Rommel moves deeper into the maze of supplies, past the jubilation. He stops before a mountain of wooden pallets wrapped in oilcloth. Someone has slashed the covering. Beneath it lie brand new Willys MB Jeeps, still in Cosmoline, their olive drab paint gleaming under electric lanterns jerry-rigged from captured generators. He runs a gloved hand along a fender, feeling the smooth Detroit steel. These vehicles were never meant for sand this deep. They were built for highways that stretch unbroken across a continent Rommel has only read about in atlases. He turns to Westphal, voice quiet but edged. How many convoys did it take to bring all this here? Westphal consults a sheaf of captured manifests, his face paling as the numbers mount. Dozens, sir. Ships from New York, Baltimore, New Orleans. Some sailed under Royal Navy escort, others direct from the States via the Cape route. The 8th Army was receiving 10,000 tons a month before we cut the coastal road. He hesitates. And this is only what was stockpiled at Tobruk. There are more dumps at Mersa Matruh, Alexandria, presumably even larger ones farther east. Rommel exhales smoke from his cigarette, watching it drift toward the roof beams. He has always prided himself on seeing the battlefield as it truly is, not as propaganda paints it. In France, in 1940, the enemy collapsed because their will broke first. Here, will alone will not be enough. He thinks of the Reich's own supply situation. Tankers limping into Tripoli harbor, half sunk by torpedoes. Rail cars from Benghazi derailed by Bedouin sabotage or RAF strafing runs. Every gallon of fuel his panzers burn must cross a sea the British and now the Americans rule. Every shell, every spare track link arrives on ships that grow fewer with each month. He steps outside into the blinding light. The sun is lower now, painting long shadows across the dunes. Afrika Korps soldiers are still unloading, forming human chains to pass crates hand to hand. A young Gefreiter offers Rommel a tin of peaches, grinning. "American, sir. Sweeter than anything we've had in months." Rommel accepts it, turns the can over in his hands. The label is bright, almost cheerful. A sunburst behind Mount Rainier, the words "Packed in California" in confident block letters. He sets it down untouched. Back in the command tent that evening, the mood is lighter among the staff. Champagne, looted from a British officers' mess, pops open. Toasts are raised to the fall of Tobruk, to the Knight's Cross already promised by Berlin, to the road now open towards Cairo. Rommel lets them celebrate. He sits apart, studying a map lit by a kerosene lamp. His red pins of his advance stab deep into Egypt. The blue Allied line looks thin, brittle. But behind that line, he now sees something else. An invisible artery stretching across oceans, pulsing with an industrial heartbeat no bomb in the Luftwaffe's arsenal can reach. Naring approaches, still flushed with victory. "We can be in Alexandria in 10 days, Herr Feldmarschall. Then the Suez Canal, the British Empire cut in half." Rommel nods, eyes shadowed under the lamp's brim. "And after Suez," he asks softly, "what then?" Naring falters. Rommel taps the map where the Nile Delta fans out. "They will fall back, always fall back, until they reach ports we cannot touch. Ports fed by fleets we cannot sink, factories we cannot bomb." He traces a line westward, back across the Atlantic. "This," he says, almost to himself, "is not a battle of generals anymore. It is a contest of factories, and theirs never sleep." The tent falls quiet. Outside, the desert wind moans through guy ropes. A distant Ju-52 transport drones overhead, bringing more wounded than reinforcements. Rommel stubs out his cigarette. For the first time in the campaign, the taste of victory carries a faint, metallic bitterness. What does a commander do when he sees the tide turning, not on the battlefield, but in the balance books of empires? Night falls fast in the desert, the temperature plunging 20 degrees in minutes. Rommel stands alone outside the command tent, collar turned up against the sudden chill, the glowing tip of another cigarette the only light in the black. Stars wheel overhead, cold, indifferent, the same stars that watched Caesar's legions and Napoleon's retreat from Egypt. He exhales smoke that hangs motionless for a moment before the wind tears it away. Somewhere in the distance, a captured British generator hums, powering floodlights over the supply dumps. The glow turns the sand pale gold, making the endless rows of crates look like treasure from another world. Inside the tent, the celebration has quieted. Empty champagne bottles stand like sentinels. The staff has drifted off to their own tasks or to sleep. Only Westphal remains, poring over more captured documents by lamplight. Rommel steps back inside, letting the canvas flap fall behind him. The major looks up, sensing the shift in his commander's mood. "Herr Feldmarschall?" Rommel does not sit. He leans over the map table, palms flat on the canvas, staring at the pins as though they might rearrange themselves if he wills it hard enough. "Tell me again about the American production figures," he says. Westphal hesitates, then pulls a slim folder from the pile. It is a British intelligence summary, dated only weeks earlier, seized from a destroyed staff car. He reads aloud in a low voice, the numbers sounding almost obscene in their scale.
U.S. aircraft plants alone are turning out more than 2,000 combat planes per month. Tank production is projected to reach 1,500 Shermans and Lees by the end of '42. And ships, they are building Liberty ships faster than the U-boats can sink them, one every 4 days in some yards. Rommel's finger traces the thin red line that represents his supply route back to Tripoli. 4 days. He thinks of the convoys he has lost, the Marco Polo torpedoed off Pantelleria, the Ankara burning in Benghazi harbor, the precious fuel barges that never arrived. 4 days for one ship. Germany cannot match that tempo, not with every factory targeted by Bomber Command, not with Romanian oil fields under constant threat, not with slave labor and midnight shifts barely keeping the assembly lines alive. He straightens, the movement deliberate. "I have fought many enemies," he says quietly. "Brave men, clever men, stubborn men. But this," he gestures vaguely toward the captured documents still spread across the table, "this is not bravery or cleverness. This is inexorable, like gravity, like the tide coming in." Westphal closes the folder. "Then what do we do, sir?" Rommel does not answer immediately. He walks to the tent entrance, looks out at the floodlit dumps. Soldiers are still working in shifts, silhouetted against the glare, stacking fuel drums, driving forklifts scavenged from the British engineers. They move with the energy of men who believe the war can still be won. Rommel envies them that belief. "We fight on," he says at last, "because that is what soldiers do. We take Mersama through Kamaro, then Alamein if we can reach it. We bleed them, we delay them, we make every mile cost them dearly, but we do it with our eyes open." He turns back to Westphal. "And we tell Berlin the truth. No more fairy tales about final victory in the East, no more promises that the next push will break them. We tell them what we have seen here, that the enemy has opened a second industrial front we cannot touch, that every tank we destroy will be replaced before the wreck is pulled, that time is no longer our ally." Westphal nods slowly. He has served Rommel long enough to know when argument is pointless. Outside, a sentry coughs in the cold. A flare goes up somewhere along the perimeter, greenish magnesium light washing the dunes, then fading. Rommel stubs out his cigarette under his boot. "Get some rest, Major. Tomorrow we advance again." But as Westphal salutes and steps out, Rommel remains. He returns to the map, alone now with the kerosene lamp and the weight of what he has understood. The pins look different in the dim light, less like arrows of conquest, more like the last desperate lunge of a man drowning in sand. He has won the Battle of Tobruk. He has captured more supplies than any German commander has ever taken in a single stroke. Yet in that same moment of triumph, he has seen the end. Not tomorrow, not next month, but inevitably. The Afrika Korps will march east again at first light. Guns will fire, men will die, panzers will burn, victory bulletins will flash back to Berlin. But Erwin Rommel, the Desert Fox, the last great captain of the old school, now carries a private certainty sharper than any bayonet. The war has already slipped beyond the horizon of what courage and tactics alone can reclaim. He switches off the lamp. Darkness folds around him like a shroud. Somewhere far to the east, in the pre-dawn quiet of Cairo, British sentries hear the first faint rumble of engines. They do not yet know that the man commanding those engines has just looked into the future and seen their victory written there in American steel.
Dawn comes cold and pale over Tobruk's shattered perimeter. The first light catches on the twisted hulks of burned-out Matildas and the long shadows of Rommel's panzers already warming their engines. Diesel fumes rise in thin blue columns, mingling with the dust that never quite settles. Rommel emerges from his command half-track, greatcoat buttoned to the throat, the Knight's Cross at his neck catching the early sun like a dull medal of iron. His face is lined deeper than it was yesterday. Sleep, when it came, brought no rest. The Afrika Korps moves out in textbook order.
Reconnaissance half-tracks race ahead, kicking up plumes of sand that drift eastward like smoke signals. The 15th Panzer Division forms the spearhead, Mark IVs rumbling in echelon, their 75mm guns elevated. Behind them, the 21st Panzer and the 90th Light follow, trucks groaning under the weight of looted British fuel and ammunition. Italian units, still flushed from yesterday's triumph, trail in loose columns, singing snatches of opera between coughs of dust. Rommel rides in the open turret of his SD-KFZ 250, wind whipping at the scarf around his neck. He scans the horizon through field glasses, searching for the telltale dust clouds of retreating British columns. They are there, faint smudges moving toward Mersa Matruh, but slower than he expected. Montgomery's men are not panicking. They are withdrawing in good order, covering their retreat with rear-guard actions, trading space for time. Rommel knows the game. He has played it himself in 1940 and 1941. But now the arithmetic feels different. By mid-morning, the lead elements reach point 208, a low rocky ridge that offers good observation. Rommel halts the column there. He climbs the slope on foot, boots slipping on loose shale, Schrapler and a signals officer panting behind him. From the crest, the desert unfolds in cruel clarity, the Via Balbia stretching east like a pale scar, dotted with burning vehicles the British have torched rather than abandoned. Beyond that, the faint gleam of the Mediterranean, and farther still, too far for the eye but not for the mind, the ports of Alexandria and Port Said, where convoys from half a world away unload night and day. He lowers the glasses. The staff waits in respectful silence. Contact with the enemy vanguard is light, Schrapler reports. They are falling back on prepared positions at Fuka. We could envelop them by dusk if we push hard. Rommel does not reply at once. He is thinking of the manifests he studied last night, the endless columns of figures that refuse to lie. Every truck the British lose today will be replaced by another unloaded in Suez tomorrow. Every gun they abandon will be matched by 10 more rolling off American assembly lines in Detroit and Pittsburgh. He has destroyed armies before, French, British, Yugoslav, but those armies fought with what they had. This one fights with what it can make, and it can make everything. A Storch liaison plane buzzes low overhead, wagging its wings in salute before banking north toward the coast. Rommel watches it go, then turns to his operations officer. "Signal Berlin," he says. "Request immediate reinforcement. 2 additional Panzer divisions, priority fuel shipments, and Luftwaffe cover for the next 30 days. Tell them the situation here remains fluid but promising, yet emphasize that Allied logistics are proving far more resilient than previously estimated." The signals officer salutes and hurries off. Westphal, standing a pace behind, risks a quiet question. "Do you believe they will send them, sir?" Rommel's mouth quirks in something that is not quite a smile. "They will send what they can spare, which will not be enough." He starts back down the slope, boots crunching. The staff follows. Below, the column waits, thousands of men, hundreds of vehicles, all poised for the next bound eastward. They cheer as Rommel's half-track passes, fists raised, dust-caked faces alight with the certainty of victory. Rommel returns the salute, but his eyes are already on the far horizon. The advance resumes. By noon, the temperature climbs past 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Men drape wet rags over their necks. Tank crews stripped to vests, sweat running in rivulets through engine grease. A British 25-pounder opens up from a concealed position, shells bursting among the leading panzers. Return fire silences it quickly, but the delay costs 20 minutes. Rommel notes it without comment. Delays that once meant nothing now feel like harbingers. As the sun begins its long slide toward the west, the first serious resistance appears, dug-in anti-tank guns and Matilda IIs hull down behind sand berms. The Afrika Korps deploys, 88mm flak guns unlimbered, Stukas called in. The familiar ballet of combined arms attack unfolds, dive bombers shrieking, shells hammering, infantry slipping through the gaps. By late afternoon, the position is overrun. Prisoners are marched to the rear in long, dusty columns, heads down, some still clutching empty water bottles. Rommel surveys the captured guns, British 6-pounders, newly arrived, still smelling of cosmoline. Nearby, a wrecked American M3 Grant tank smolders, its first combat appearance in the theater. The turret is blown open like a tin can. Inside, the crew lies still. Rommel pauses beside the wreck, studying the sloped armor, the 75mm gun in the sponson. Crude compared to a Panzer IV, yet sturdy. And there will be more, many more. Night falls again. The column loggers in a wide wadi, sentries posted, fires kept low. Rommel eats a cold meal in his tent, looted British bully beef and American crackers, while listening to the BBC News on a captured portable set. The announcer's voice is calm, measured. Heavy fighting continues in the western desert. Tobruk has fallen, but 8th Army units are conducting an orderly withdrawal to prepared positions. American Lend-Lease supplies continue to reach our forces in substantial quantities. Rommel switches off the radio. The words hang in the still air. Orderly withdrawal, substantial quantities. He steps outside. The camp is quiet save for the low murmur of engines idling to keep batteries charged. Stars burn cold overhead. Somewhere to the east, Montgomery is digging in at El Alamein, shortening his supply lines, while Rommel's stretch ever longer. The Fox understands now, with brutal clarity, that the coming battle will not be decided by maneuver or morale alone. It will be decided by tonnage, by the weight of steel and oil and rubber that can be delivered month after month from factories that never stop. And those factories are winning. Rommel lights one last cigarette, the flare of the match briefly illuminating the lines of exhaustion on his face. Tomorrow, the advance will continue. Tomorrow, men will fight and die under the same merciless sun. But the shadow he glimpsed into Tobruk's warehouses has grown longer, darker, and it reaches all the way to Berlin.
The Wadi camp stirs before first light. Engines cough to life in the pre-dawn chill, headlights stabbing pale beams through swirling dust. Rommel is already up, shaving with cold water from a captured jerry can, the razor scraping against stubble that seems to grow faster these days. His adjutant hands him a mug of ersatz coffee, bitter, thin, but hot. He drinks it standing, eyes on the eastern sky where a thin line of rose is bleeding into the black. The column rolls out at 0500 hours sharp. Today's objective is clear. Punch through the British rearguard at Fuka, seize the coastal road, and keep the momentum toward El Alamein. Rommel rides forward with the lead reconnaissance platoon, his half-track bouncing over the hard-packed sand. The desert here is flatter, almost lunar, low ridges and shallow depressions that offer little cover, perfect for armor if you have the fuel and the will. By 0800, the first contact is made. British 6-pounder anti-tank guns, well camouflaged in shallow scrapes, open fire at 1200 yards. The crack of high-velocity shells splits the morning. A leading Panzer IV slews sideways, track blown off, smoke pouring from the engine deck. Return fire is immediate. 88mm Flak 36s thunder, their shells raising geysers of sand and steel. Stukas arrive on call, sirens howling as they tip over and dive. The position is rolled up in 20 minutes, but 3 panzers are lost and a dozen men dead or wounded. Rommel surveys the smoking wrecks without dismounting. A captured British sergeant, bleeding from a scalp wound, stands defiant among his men. Rommel gestures for an interpreter. Ask him why they fight so stubbornly when the road to Cairo is open. The sergeant spits sand before answering. Because we know you're coming, mate, and we know something you don't. Rommel raises an eyebrow.
The interpreter translates the rest. Yanks are landing gear in the canal zone. Fresh divisions, fresh tanks, fresh everything. You took Tobruk, good on you, but we've got more coming than you can burn. Rommel studies the man for a long moment, then nods to the medics. Treat him and give him water. He turns away, the words settling like grit in his throat. The advance continues, but the pace slows. Every ridge now hides a gun or a mine. British carriers, tiny, fast, spitting 2-pounder shells, dart in and out, harassing the flanks before melting away. Rommel's reconnaissance reports fuel consumption climbing faster than expected. Captured British petrol is good, but the thirsty Daimler-Benz engines drink it greedily. Supply trucks lag behind, vulnerable to RAF Beaufighters that appear without warning, cannons flashing. By midday, the heat is a living thing, pressing down like a hand. Men drink wet cloths over radiators to keep them from boiling. Crews urinate on overheating track pins to cool them. Rommel calls a brief halt near a ruined Italian fort. He climbs to the roof with Westphal and a signals NCO, scanning the horizon through binoculars. There, perhaps 10 miles distant, a low, dark line against the sand. Trenches, wire, dug-in positions stretching from the sea to the impassable Katara Depression. El Alamein. Rommel lowers the glasses. His voice is flat. That is where they make their stand.
Westphal nods. Intelligence says Auchinleck has been sacked. Montgomery now commands. He's digging in deep. Minefields, anti-tank ditches, artillery concentrations. They're not running anymore. Rommel says nothing for several seconds. The wind whistles through the broken stonework around them. He thinks of the warehouses at Tobruk again, the endless crates, the bright labels, the promise of inexhaustible replacement. He thinks of the factories across the ocean, the shipyards where welders work in 3 shifts under floodlights, the freighters sliding down ways into the water every few days. He thinks of Berlin, where maps still show arrows sweeping toward the Volga and the Caucasus, where victory is promised by Christmas. He thinks of the men he has lost, good men, brave men, burned in their tanks, buried in shallow graves marked only by a rifle and helmet. He thinks of the ones still marching, singing, believing the next battle will be the last. They will come, he says quietly, in numbers we cannot match, and when they do, this line will hold long enough for more to arrive. Westphal waits. Rommel turns to him. We will attack. We will try to break through before their strength becomes overwhelming. But we prepare the staff for the truth. If we do not shatter them here decisively in the next weeks, the initiative passes to them forever. He starts down the crumbling stairs. Signal the divisions. Concentrate for a major assault at first light tomorrow. Full reconnaissance tonight. And tell the quartermasters to ration fuel strictly. No unnecessary movement. At the base of the fort, his driver waits with the half-track. Rommel climbs in without a word. The engine roars, and the vehicle pulls away toward the lagered headquarters group. Behind him, the sun sinks toward the horizon, stretching his shadow long across the sand, longer than it has ever been. In that lengthening shadow lies the unspoken certainty: the Desert Fox has seen the future of the war, and it is not written in German script. It is written in American steel, British resolve, and the slow, relentless turning of the industrial wheel. Tomorrow the guns will speak again. Tomorrow men will charge across open ground under fire. Tomorrow the Afrika Korps will try once more to snatch victory from the jaws of mathematics. But tonight, in the quiet of his tent, Erwin Rommel will lie awake and listen to the desert wind, and hear beneath it the distant thunder of freighters unloading at Suez, the hum of factories that never sleep, the inexorable march of an empire built on production rather than conquest. The turning point has come, not with fanfare, not with a single battle, but with the quiet click of a calculator in a warehouse at Tobruk, when one man finally understood that the war had outgrown the battlefield. July 1, 1942.
first light spills blood red across the Katara Depression's western rim. The air is still, heavy with the promise of another furnace day. Rommel stands on the running board of his command vehicle, coat unbuttoned, cap pushed back, watching the last stars fade. The Afrika Korps is arrayed behind him in a vast crescent, 3 German divisions and 2 Italian, engines idling low, exhaust curling like breath in the cold. Men check weapons, tighten helmet straps, share the last dregs of cigarettes before flicking them into the sand. No songs this morning, only the metallic clink of tools, the soft curses in German and Italian, the distant cough of a diesel refusing to start. Rommel's plan is simple, ruthless, and born of desperation. Punch through the northern sector of the Alamein line before Montgomery can fully solidify it. The coast road is the prize. Seize it, roll south behind the British positions, force a collapse like at Gazala. He has 55 operational panzers left in the Afrika Korps proper, perhaps 30 more from the Italian Ariete and Littorio. Fuel is rationed to the last drop, ammunition counted shell by shell. It will have to be enough. At 0430, the barrage begins. German 105mm howitzers and captured British 25-pounders speak in unison, tongues of orange flame licking the dark. Shells arc over the minefields, bursting among the newly dug British trenches. Then the Stukas arrive, only a handful now, fuel too precious for massed strikes, diving with their familiar wail, 500-kilogram bombs cratering the sand. The infantry moves forward under the curtain of fire, grenadiers and bersaglieri advancing in short rushes, bayonets fixed. Rommel rides with the leading wave of the 15th Panzer, his half-track bucking over shell holes. Dust boils around the column, turning day into choking twilight. Tracers snap overhead, British Vickers and Bofors answering back. A Panzer IV ahead erupts in black smoke, turret ring burning white-hot. Crewmen bail out, one on fire, rolling frantically in the sand. Medics rush forward. Rommel's driver swerves to avoid them. They hit the first minefield at speed. Explosions ripple down the line, tracks shredded, hulls lifted and slammed back down. Sappers leap from trucks with Bangalore torpedoes, blasting lanes through the wire and teller mines. It is slow, murderous work. Men fall to snipers hidden in shallow scrapes. Rommel leans from the hatch, shouting directions, voice hoarse over the din. Keep moving, through the gaps, don't stop. By 900, they have penetrated 3 miles. The northern corridor is open, barely. British 1st Armored Division counterattacks from the flank with Matildas and the new American Grants. The Grant's 75mm sponson guns prove deadly at close range. A dozen panzers are knocked out in the first hour. Rommel redirects his 88s, those priceless dual-purpose guns, turning them to anti-tank work. The flat crack of the 88 echoes across the battlefield, shells punching through Grant armor like paper. For a moment, the line wavers, then steadies. Noon. The sun is a hammer. Heat shimmers off metal, mirages dancing. Men fight in vests and shorts, skin blistered, lips cracked. Water bottles are empty, throats too dry to shout orders. Rommel's own canteen is gone, passed to a wounded Gefreiter hours earlier. He ignores the thirst, the pounding headache. His eyes never leave the map board strapped to the half-track side. The breakthrough is narrow, fragile. If Montgomery commits his reserves now,
he does not. Instead, the British fall back in disciplined bounds, trading ground for blood. Every ridge, every wadi becomes a new strong point. RAF Kittyhawks strafe the Axis columns, cannon shells stitching through soft-skinned trucks. Fuel bowsers burn, sending pillars of black smoke into the sky, beacons for the next wave of bombers. By late afternoon, the advance stalls. The leading panzers reach the Rewisat Ridge, low, rocky, commanding, and dig in. Rommel climbs the slope on foot, revolver in hand, staff trailing. From the crest, he can see the Mediterranean glittering to the north, Alexandria, a faint haze 30 miles distant. Below, the battlefield is a cauldron of dust and fire, burning vehicles, stretcher parties, men crawling back from shattered positions. He lowers the binoculars. Westphal joins him, face streaked with sweat and grime. "We've gained 6 miles, Herr Feldmarschall, but the line holds. Their artillery is massed behind the ridge, concentrated, accurate. We're taking heavy casualties." Rommel nods once. He knows the arithmetic without being told. Losses mounting, replacements non-existent, fuel tanks emptying faster than they can be refilled. The captured stocks from Tobruk are already half consumed. And beyond this ridge, the British are receiving fresh convoys, tanks unloaded at Suez, trucked forward under cover of night. He speaks quietly, almost to himself. It ends here. Westphal looks at him sharply. "Not today, sir. We regroup tonight. Try again tomorrow." "No." Rommel's voice is calm, final. "Not tomorrow. Not the day after. We have reached the limit of what will and steel can achieve against production. They will hold this line. They will reinforce it. And when they counterattack, we will have nothing left to stop them." He turns away from the view, starts back down the slope. The sun is sinking now, painting the sand crimson. Wounded men are carried past on stretchers, faces gray with shock. A young lieutenant salutes weakly from a blanket on the ground. Rommel pauses, kneels, squeezes the boy's shoulder. "Hold on," he murmurs. "Help is coming." But he knows it is not. In the command vehicle that night, under a canvas awning lit by a single lamp, Rommel dictates a situation report to Berlin. The words are measured, professional, stripped of illusion. Despite local successes, enemy resistance at El Alamein proves stronger than anticipated. Allied material superiority, particularly in armor and air support, is decisive. Request immediate strategic re-evaluation of Mediterranean theater. He signs the message, hands it to the signals officer. Then he steps outside. The camp is dark, fires low to avoid detection. Men sleep where they drop, on tank decks, in slit trenches, under truck chassis. The wind carries the faint metallic stink of blood and burnt rubber. Rommel lights a cigarette, inhales deeply. For the first time since France, he feels the war as something vast and impersonal, a machine grinding forward on tracks of steel and oil that no single man can derail. The Desert Fox has fought his last great offensive. From this ridge, the road to Cairo is visible, but unreachable. The shadow cast by Tobruk's warehouses has fallen across the entire front. And in that shadow, the Afrika Korps waits for the counterblow that will come, inexorably, with the dawn. July 3rd, 1942. The sun rises over U.S.A. Ridge like a judgment. The battlefield lies still for the first hour of daylight. Only the low moan of wind through barbed wire and the occasional crack of a distant sniper rifle. Smoke from yesterday's wrecks still drifts upward in lazy spirals, black against the pale sky. Rommel's headquarters group has pulled back half a mile during the night, lagered near a shallow depression behind the ridge. Tents are struck, maps rolled, radios tuned to the crackling frequency from Berlin. No answer yet to yesterday's situation report, only static. Rommel stands beside his half-track, sipping lukewarm tea from a tin mug. His eyes are rimmed red, the skin beneath them bruised with fatigue. The Knight's Cross hangs heavy against his chest. Around him, the staff moves with the quiet efficiency of men who know the script. Prepare defensive positions, conserve ammunition, evacuate the wounded to the rear. The offensive is over, not declared, not announced in any bulletin, but finished all the same. A Kubel wagon pulls up in a swirl of dust. General Nering climbs out, face drawn, uniform streaked with oil and sand. He salutes without flourish. "Herr Feldmarschall,
The 15th Panzer reports 22 operational tanks remaining. The 21st has 14. Fuel for perhaps 48 hours of limited movement. Ammunition critical in all calibers. Rommel nods once. He has already heard similar figures from the other divisions. The Italian units are in worse shape. Many of their M1340 tanks abandoned for lack of tracks or fuel. The Afrika Korps that swept across Cyrenaica like a scythe is now a shadow of itself, dug in on a narrow salient, flanks exposed, supply lines stretched to breaking. He gestures toward the map table set up under a camouflage net. Pins have been pulled back. The red arrow that once pointed toward Alexandria now blunts against the blue wall at El Alamein. "We hold here," Rommel says. "Consolidate, dig deep, wait for reinforcements, if they come." Naring hesitates. "And if they do not?" Rommel meets his gaze. "Then we fight a delaying action, make them pay for every mile, buy time for the Führer to turn the war in the east, or for some miracle we no longer believe in." The words hang between them. Naring looks away first. Across the ridge, British artillery opens a slow, deliberate bombardment. Shells fall in pattern, 50 yards, then closer, then 50 yards again, registering the range. No panic rush of infantry follows. Montgomery is content to shell, to probe with patrols, to let the Afrika Korps bleed in place. He knows the arithmetic, too. Rommel walks to the edge of the depression, climbs a low rise of rock. From here, the British positions are visible. Fresh earthworks, coils of wire glinting in the sun, the low silhouettes of anti-tank guns hull down. Behind them, dust clouds mark truck convoys moving men and materiel forward under the protective umbrella of Spitfires and Kitty Hawks. He watches one formation wheel overhead, 16 aircraft in tight V formation, engines a steady drone, untouched, unmolested. The Luftwaffe is a memory now, reduced to a handful of Bf-109s flying defensive patrols from stripped-down airstrips near Mersa Matruh. He lowers the glasses. The desert stretches empty to the west, back toward Tobruk, toward the warehouses that once seemed like a gift from fortune. He can still picture the labels, the crates, the sheer scale of it. In that moment of capture, he had grasped something fundamental. The war had outgrown Europe. It had become global, industrial, merciless in its arithmetic. One man's brilliance, one army's elan, could no longer compensate for the difference in output. A runner approaches, young, breathless. Message from OK.